So the topic of today really is centered around this race, right? So this you race for owning and being the platform of choice for content creators globally. So YouTube has is the giant of content creators. The platform for content creators is the giant of the video sharing apps, and has been for a very, very long time. But in the last couple of months, um, YouTube has had issues with advertisers, seeing that the adverts are placed wrongly, and also had problems with content creators doing crazy things like going to Suicide Forest and videoing it. And YouTube's reaction to that meant a lot of content creators on their platform lost a lot of income, since they earn money from the advertising that runs on their video channels. So a lot of YouTube content creators woke up and their content got demonetized. Excuse me, and some lost up to 40, 50, 60% income. This is based on YouTube's reaction to their advertisers' reaction. Now, I think that gave a really great opportunity to platforms like Facebook that have been looking to win and become the platform of choice for content creators. So in the last, since I think January this year, correct me if I'm wrong, Facebook has had what is called the Facebook Watch program, which is really commissioned web series, right? So Jada Pinkett Smith's program, Red Table.
On our next Red Table Talk, one of the funniest women out there, my girl, Tiffany Haddish.
Other platforms, other sort of content providers, Facebook is working to them to bring content. Now, that's all well and good. Here's my problem though. Where are the African partnerships? Where are the partnerships with the African content creators? So with Facebook Watch, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the research I've done, I haven't found one single content creator that's partnering with Facebook on Facebook Watch. Now, the argument cannot be that they are not content creators on the continent that have the numbers and that have the proficiency. There are a lot of comedians, a lot of artists online that have lots of really great content coming out of Africa. I think there's a comedian, Masima, I forget what her name is, but I will put it up once I edit the video. And then again, Facebook has had, I think just in a few days ago, Facebook had its content creators conference. Again, no African creators. And finally, in the last week, Facebook has launched, well, Facebook, which was Instagram, and Instagram has launched what it calls IGTV. Now, I'm using IGTV, I quite like it, but again, the question is about, Instagram is doing a really good job on bringing the creators from YouTube, but again, glossing over the African content creators. So ask this question, I'm asking the question. There are content creators on the African continent doing really, really good content, and I will link a few of them up in the edits. Now, the question is, if the global giants of YouTube and Facebook and Instagram are glossing over Africa, where are the platforms that are catering from the African continent that are catering for the African content creator? Now, my research has put up quite a bit. So there are a large number of content platforms, more video on demand platforms on the continent. So example, you would see something like Aniroko TV, which I think might be one of the leading ones on the continent, which has a platform that that works with a lot of film producers, especially out of Nollywood, which is the Nigerian film industry. So a lot of content out there. And there's I think Buni TV again. They work with a lot of sort of content, corporate content people. Excuse me. But a lot of the African startups in the space, Iroko TV, Buni TV, you can list all of them there. A lot of them work with either the entertainment industry, the film industry. There are not a lot of platforms in Africa that pay attention to the individual creator. So I did a bit of digging around and I found two, and I thought I'd share with you just give you a bit of understanding of the African landscape in terms of video sharing and working with content creators and that whole ecosystem of video on demand. Now, there are two that I found. Even those two don't fit neatly into any of the boxes, but never mind. So the first that I found, which is Iroko X. Now, I will tell you a little bit about Iroko TV afterwards, but Iroko TV started by a British Nigerian who has gone on to build probably one of the largest catalogs of just like Nigerian films online, where it's more subscriber based. And I was looking more subscriber based. Now, Iroko X, which is it's supposed an offshoot and a brainchild of Iroko TV, is more centered around so they put a call out for content creators in, I think, their New York, their London, and their Nigeria, Lagos offices. And the ones that come in and the ones that they vetted, they work with them in terms of helping them produce content, so providing them production services. They also help with distribution of content. They also help the content creators with the distribution of content. And then there is an 80-20 split of revenue, which is 80% goes to the content creator, working with the newer, younger content creators. So even though Iroko X isn't a platform per se, they're a service, but they also engage with other platforms. So they use YouTube, they use Spotify, they use all these sort of channels to be able to enable the content creators get their work out there, and the advertising revenues that come and accrue from the sponsorships and the advertisement, they split 80-20. So that's one good example of a platform in Africa that's supporting content creators, if you want to check it out. Then there is the second one, which is quite interesting. It's Xylophone Cash, Xylophone Media. Now, Xylophone Cash, Xylophone Media is out of Ghana, and they have a very interesting and different model. Now, their model works with so basically they have a platform, and and the content creators will go and buy a scratch card. It's about $20 that enables them to upload 3 pieces of content. So I've gone on the site, there's a lot of sort of poetry, there's a lot of like modeling pictures, there's a lot of music, and there's a lot of like short film creators on there. And what happens is that they don't even use the advertising model, which like a YouTube does. They just pay the content creators based on the user's interaction with the content. So whether it's a view or whether it's a like. Now, I definitely have issues with the platform. I don't think that the platform itself is user friendly, and if you have to log on to like content, a lot of people are not going to do it, which increases the barrier for entry for users, and the content creators don't necessarily earn money. And so that might draw them back into sort of a Facebook or to a YouTube. I talked to a young lady last week who's been using the platform for a week, and she says, I mean, she put up I think she's a fitness model, so she put out the content there, but she's in a week I think she's earned 50 pence. And so that's an interesting space to also look at. I mean, my criticism of that platform is just in terms of the sustainability of content creators staying there if they don't open up the platform for the users to come in and actually make it interesting for users to come in to watch videos and listen to the poetry extra. But I said all this to say that there is content, there are content, there are platforms in Africa, not a lot of them, that are catering to content creators. Now, if the YouTubes, the Facebooks, and the Instagrams are not paying attention to the African content creators, it makes sense that there is an opportunity there for someone to become the leader in the space, at least in the video sharing, working with individual content creators. Anyway, so that's interesting to you, and that's something you want to look into. I think there's going to be an article on my blog going into a little bit more detail about this. It's blog.ethelcoffee.com. But it's an interesting space. If the global players are not interested in African content and African content creators, that means that there is a niche market that can't be taken over and owned. All right, so thank you for hanging out with me today for today's relevant conversation on video sharing and video on demand in Africa. I think it's an interesting space. I'm looking forward to see what IGTV also does.